The broken toy. The sky above the Dragon Empire was red like burning coal. Huge towers made of black crystal touched the clouds. Airships in the shape of serpents flew between them, carrying golden banners of the Emperor. The dragons ruled the galaxy, proud and powerful. No one dared to question their will, not even the smallest command. But deep inside the Empire, in the lowest sector of a strange city called Vylora, there lived a human engineer named Eli Grant. He was not a soldier, not a spy, not even a hero. He was a repairman, a man who fixed machines others had thrown away. Humans were rare here, seen as weak and clumsy creatures, good only for minor work. Most dragons ignored them. Some mocked them. A few pitied them. Eli lived alone in a small workshop, under a flickering neon sign that said, "Fix anything." Every night, he worked until the sky turned purple. He repaired drones, toys, and small tools for whoever brought them, sometimes for food, sometimes for a few coins. He never expected greatness, only survival. But one strange evening changed everything. A soft knock echoed through his metal door. When he opened it, he saw a small creature standing there, a dragon hatchling, no taller than his waist. Its golden scales shimmered under the light, and its big green eyes looked wet and scared. It held something broken in its claws, a small mechanical bird with one wing missing. "Please," the little dragon said in a trembling voice, "can you fix my toy?" Eli blinked, unsure if this was a joke. No dragon ever talked kindly to a human. Still, he saw the creature's tears and nodded slowly. "Let me take a look," he said gently. The toy was old and delicate, made with crystal gears and silver feathers. The broken wing was almost crushed. Eli took it carefully and placed it on his desk. He could feel the hatchling watching him, tail twitching nervously. He worked for hours. His hands moved fast, but careful. He replaced the broken circuits with spare parts he had saved for months. He even carved a new wing from a piece of alloy he once found in the trash. It was not perfect, but it was beautiful. When he finished, he wound the small crank on the toy's back. The mechanical bird came to life, fluttering its wings and chirping a soft metallic song. The hatchling gasped and clapped its claws with joy. "You did it!" it shouted. "You fixed it!" Eli smiled, a tired but warm smile. "It wasn't too hard," he said softly. But the little dragon looked at him with awe. "No one could fix it," it whispered. "Not even the Emperor's own builders." Eli's smile faded a little. "The Emperor's builders?" he asked, confused. "Yes," said the hatchling proudly. "I am Prince Kael, son of the Dragon Emperor." Eli froze. A prince here in his workshop, with no guards, no protection. If someone saw them, Eli could be executed just for speaking to royal blood. He quickly bowed his head. "Your Highness, forgive me. I didn't know," he said, voice shaking. But the hatchling laughed softly. "It's fine, human. You helped me," it said. Then the little dragon hugged him suddenly, scales warm and glowing. "Thank you," it whispered again, and then ran out into the night, wings fluttering behind. Eli stood there, heart racing. He thought it was over. Just another strange moment in a long, lonely life. But it was only the beginning. Because the next morning, soldiers surrounded his workshop, armored dragons with weapons that glowed red like magma. They broke the door open and stormed inside. Before Eli could speak, they grabbed him by the arms. A booming voice echoed. "By order of the Emperor, the human engineer is to be taken immediately." Eli tried to protest. "I did nothing wrong. I just fixed a toy." But they ignored him, dragging him through the streets. Crowds watched as the dragons carried him away, whispering rumors. Some laughed, others felt pity. He was taken to the Emperor's palace, a massive fortress of golden flame. Inside, every wall pulsed with energy. Every step echoed like thunder. The dragons around him bowed low, as they approached a grand throne. And there sat the Dragon Emperor, larger than any creature Eli had ever seen. Eyes like suns, wings folded like mountains. Eli fell to his knees, trembling. "Human!" The Emperor's voice thundered. "You touched something that belongs to my bloodline." I was only trying to help," Eli stammered. "You fixed the broken toy of my son," the Emperor said, his tone unreadable. Eli nodded weakly. "Yes, Your Majesty." There was silence. The dragons around the throne tensed, ready to burn him with a single breath. Then the Emperor leaned forward slowly, his gaze piercing. "Tell me, human," he said. "How did you fix what my greatest engineers could not?" Eli swallowed hard. "I just looked at it," he said softly. "Listened to it, like it was trying to tell me what was wrong." For a moment, the great dragon said nothing. Then a deep rumble filled the hall, a sound like thunder mixed with laughter. The Emperor smiled. "Interesting," he said. "Very interesting." And in that moment, Eli's fate changed forever. He didn't know it yet. But the small act of kindness, fixing a child's broken toy, had just made him the most important human in the entire empire. The Emperor's test. The great hall was silent. Only the sound of the Emperor's wings shifting filled the air. Eli could feel the heat of dragon fire pressing against his skin. Hundreds of dragon eyes watched him from the shadows, every single one waiting for the Emperor's command. The Emperor leaned forward, his golden eyes glowing brighter. "You fixed my son's toy," he said slowly, "something that my own builders failed to do." Eli bowed deeply, his voice trembling. "I only did what I know, Your Majesty." The Emperor's gaze was unreadable. "Do you think you are special, human?" he asked. Eli shook his head quickly. "No, Your Majesty. I only fix things." A strange silence followed. Then, to everyone's shock, the Emperor began to laugh. It was a deep, thunder-like sound that shook the golden floor. "Honest words," the Emperor said. "But we shall see if your hands truly hold magic." He raised one claw, and the ground before Eli opened like a blooming flower. A metal platform rose from below, carrying a strange object. It was a massive machine, half burned, half broken, glowing faintly blue. Sparks flew from its sides, and the air smelled of burnt crystal. "This," said the Emperor, "is the heart of Vialora, the engine that powers my city. It broke last year, and every dragon engineer has failed to repair it." His voice grew colder, sharper. "Fix it, human, and you will walk out free. Fail, and you will be nothing but ash." Eli's throat went dry. He could feel hundreds of dragons staring, waiting for him to die. But deep inside, a small spark of courage flickered. He nodded once. "I'll try," he whispered. The Emperor gestured, and guards released his chains. Eli walked slowly to the machine, heart pounding in his chest. He looked at the massive structure. It was beautiful, but dying. Circuits like veins pulsed faintly beneath the metal surface. Each breath of the engine sounded like a dragon gasping for air. He touched it gently, feeling the vibration under his fingers. It was alive in a way, crying for help. He whispered, "What happened to you?" Not expecting an answer. But the hum shifted, soft and faint, as if it had heard him. The dragons whispered among themselves, mocking him. "He talks to machines," one hissed. Another laughed. "Pathetic human." But the Emperor watched silently, his expression calm and thoughtful. Eli opened his small toolkit. He didn't have much, only a few wires, a solder pen, and some old circuit chips. But he worked quickly, eyes scanning the patterns of light. He saw where energy leaked like blood from a wound. He patched it carefully, one spark at a time. Minutes turned to hours. Sweat ran down his face. His hands burned from the heat, but he didn't stop. He felt the rhythm of the machine, like a heartbeat returning. He hummed softly, a tune he remembered from Earth, and the engine seemed to hum back. matching his tone. Then with a final spark, the machine glowed bright blue. The whole hall trembled as light spread through the walls. Crystals reignited. Power surged through the city above. Outside, towers lit up like stars reborn. Dragons gasped and stepped back, shielding their eyes. Eli stumbled, exhausted, but smiling. "It's done," he whispered, his voice barely audible. For a moment, no one spoke. Then a roar filled the chamber. Not of anger, but awe. The Emperor's wings flared wide, shining like molten gold. "The heart lives again," he declared, and all the dragons bowed, even the generals. The Emperor looked at Eli, his expression softer now. "You have done what none of my kind could," he said slowly. "You fixed not just a machine, but the very heart of my empire." He paused, eyes narrowing slightly. "Tell me, human, what do you desire in return?" Eli blinked, confused. He had never thought about reward. "I only wish to go home," he said quietly. The Emperor tilted his head. "Home? Earth?" Eli nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. I miss the sky there, the wind, the silence." The Emperor's gaze lingered. Then he said, "You will have more than that." He lifted one claw and touched the air. A beam of golden light wrapped around Eli's wrist, forming a small, glowing mark, a sigil shaped like a dragon's eye. "This mark is the Emperor's favor," he said. "From this moment, no dragon in my empire may harm you. You are under my protection." Gasps echoed through the hall. Dragons whispered in disbelief. A human, favored by the Emperor himself. Impossible. Eli bowed deeply. Too stunned to speak, the Emperor smiled slightly. "Rest now, human," he said. "Your story has only begun," as guards escorted him to a chamber of gold and glass. Eli looked back once at the Emperor. He wondered why such power had spared a man like him. And far above, in the royal balcony, Prince Kale watched with shining eyes. He whispered to himself, "Father was right. Humans are strange." That night, while the city of dragons celebrated the rebirth of the heart, a secret shadow moved through the palace corridors. Whispers of jealousy and hatred spread among the Emperor's advisors. Why should a human hold the Emperor's favor? One growled. "Such weakness will bring ruin," said another. And in that dark corner of the empire, unseen eyes began to watch Eli's every move. His kindness had made him famous. But fame in a dragon's world was a dangerous thing. The story of the human who fixed the heart was just beginning. But now, his real test of loyalty, courage, and survival was about to start. Shadows in the palace of Vialora, shone like a star in the dark sky. Golden light poured from its towers. The engines of the heart pulsing again with life. Dragons sang songs of victory, their voices shaking the clouds. And in every corner, Eli's name was whispered. The human who fixed the heart. The human who earned the Emperor's favor. But not all whispers were kind. Behind the laughter and cheers, shadows moved. There were dragons who hated the idea of a human standing beside their emperor. To them, it was an insult, a stain on their pride. Eli didn't know any of this. He was resting in a golden chamber, the first bed he had slept on in years. He stared at the glowing ceiling, still unable to believe what had happened. In one day, he had gone from a poor mechanic to a man protected by the emperor himself. It felt unreal, like a dream waiting to break. The door opened softly. Prince Kale stepped inside, small wings folded, eyes bright with joy. "You're awake," he said, smiling. "I told father you were strong." Eli sat up, smiling tiredly. "Your Highness, I'm glad you're safe." Kale grinned. "Call me Kale. You saved my toy and my city. No need for titles." Eli chuckled, a rare sound in his quiet life. The young dragon prince sat beside him. tail flicking playfully. "My father says he wants to make you royal mechanist," Kale said proudly. Eli's smile faded a little. "Royal mechanist?" "Yes," Kale nodded. "You'll live here in the palace. Fix our great machines. Teach us human ways." Eli looked down, his fingers trembling slightly. He had never wanted power, never asked for honor. All he wanted was peace, maybe a chance to go home. But he could not refuse the Emperor's will. "I am honored," he said quietly. Kyle's eyes sparkled. "Good! Then you're one of us now." Outside, a cold wind blew through the corridors. Somewhere in the shadows, a pair of golden eyes watched them both. It was General Vaughn, the Emperor's war commander, a dragon feared across 100 worlds, loyal only to the Empire. Or so it was said, but in his heart burned jealousy. "How can a fragile creature from Earth earn the favor denied to me?" he whispered, claws scraping the floor. That night, Eli began his new life. He was given a small workshop inside the palace, filled with strange tools and alien metals. Machines he had never seen before floated quietly in corners, humming with energy. He worked day and night, repairing small devices and learning dragon technology. He learned fast, faster than any dragon expected. Some began to whisper that maybe humans were not as weak as they thought. One evening, Kale ran into his workshop, eyes wide with excitement. "Eli, come see this," he shouted. Eli wiped his hands and followed the prince to the top balcony. From there, the whole city stretched out like a sea of fire and crystal. Airships floated under twin moons, and the heart's glow lit every street. "It's beautiful," Eli whispered. Kale nodded proudly. "All of it runs because of what you fixed." But their peaceful moment ended when a blast shook the air. A huge explosion echoed from the East Tower. Flames rose high into the sky. Alarms screamed, and dragons rushed from every direction. Kale's wings flared. "What's happening?" he shouted. Eli grabbed him and pulled him back. "Stay close to me!" Soldiers stormed past them, their armor glowing. Eli followed the crowd and reached the burning tower. Inside, machines were shattered, wires melted. He could smell the metallic tang of sabotage. Someone had done this on purpose. General Van arrived, his huge wings spreading shadows across the smoke. He looked at Eli coldly. "You human, were you here?" Eli shook his head, coughing. "No, I just got here." Vaughn's eyes narrowed. "Convenient timing," he said darkly. Before Eli could answer, a soldier held up a glowing shard. "General, this device caused the explosion, and it's human-made." Gasps filled the air. Eli stared at the shard. A small piece of Earth technology, one he recognized from his own tools. "But that's impossible," he whispered. "I never," Vaughn roared. "Enough! The Emperor trusted you, and you betray him." Guards surrounded Eli instantly, weapons drawn. Kale ran forward, wings trembling. "Stop! He wouldn't do that." But Vaughn ignored him. "Take him to the dungeon," he ordered. Eli tried to speak, but his voice was drowned by the sound of clanging armor. He was dragged away, the crowd shouting in confusion and fear. The golden mark on his wrist dimmed. As he was thrown into a cold cell, he sat there in silence, the air thick with smoke and betrayal. In the distance, he could hear Kale shouting at his father, begging him to believe. But Eli knew how fragile trust was in this world. He had fixed their machines, but could he fix their hearts? Hours passed, or maybe days. He didn't know. There was no light, no sound except the hum of distant engines. Then a soft scrape echoed outside his cell. A small voice whispered, "Eli." It was Kale the little prince, slipping through a side door, carrying a lantern. His eyes were wet with tears. "I know you didn't do it," he said, "but Father is angry, and Vaughn is lying." Eli's heart ached. Why would he do this? Kale's voice shook. "He wants your place, your favor, your power." Eli took a deep breath. "Then we'll prove the truth," he said quietly. Kale nodded, determination lighting his young face. "I'll help you escape," he whispered. "But you must promise to come back." Eli looked at the prince, saw the trust in his eyes, and he made a promise. "I'll come back," he said, "and I'll fix what's broken, even if it's not made of metal." As Kale opened a hidden passage under the cell floor, cold air rushed in. The sound of distant engines filled the dark. Eli stepped into the tunnel, unaware that outside, the real enemy was already waiting, watching, plotting, because fixing a machine had made him a hero. But now, he was about to learn what it meant to be human in a world of dragons. The Emperor's eternal favor. The tunnels beneath the palace were silent and endless. Eli's footsteps echoed against the stone, his heart racing with every sound. Prince Kale flew just ahead, his small wings glowing faintly in the dark. "Stay close," Kale whispered. "These paths are old, older than the Empire itself." Eli nodded, his hands still shaking. He couldn't believe how fast everything had turned against him. One moment he was the Emperor's favored human. The next, he was branded a traitor. But deep inside, something burned brighter than fear. A spark. The same spark that made him fix machines others gave up on. He wouldn't let lies destroy what he had built. He would find the truth, no matter what it cost. They reached a hidden chamber filled with ancient machinery. Pipes ran along the walls, glowing veins of blue light. At the center stood a massive console, dusty and forgotten. Kale landed beside it, eyes wide. "This is the old control room of the heart," he said. Eli stepped closer. "Then maybe the answers are here." He brushed away the dust and activated the screen. Strange symbols flickered to life. He worked quickly, his fingers dancing across the keys. Lines of energy flowed through the walls, and slowly a projection appeared. A memory recorded by the heart itself. The image showed General Vaughn sneaking into the engine room before the explosion. He placed the device himself, his eyes glowing with greed. Then he whispered, "Let the human burn," and vanished into the shadows. Kale gasped, wings flaring. "It was him," he cried. "Vaughn did it!" Eli's fist clenched, his voice calm but cold. "Then we show this to the Emperor," he said. But before they could move, a deep growl filled the chamber. From the shadows stepped General Vaughn, his golden armor cracked and burning with fury. "You should have stayed in your cage, human," he snarled. Flames gathered in his mouth, lighting the room in red. Kale stepped in front of Eli. "You betrayed the Emperor," he shouted. Vaughn laughed. "I served the Empire long before you were born. Little prince." He raised a claw. "But your pet human has turned your father blind." Eli grabbed a broken pipe, holding it like a weapon. He knew he couldn't fight a dragon, but he wouldn't die kneeling. "Truth doesn't burn," he said softly, "no matter how much fire you breathe." Vaughn roared and lunged forward. The floor cracked beneath his weight, flames pouring from his jaws. Eli dodged behind the console as fire scorched the wall. The air filled with smoke and heat. Kale screamed, "Eli!" Eli grabbed a power core from the machine, glowing bright blue. He twisted the wires and jammed it into the ground. Electric arcs burst through the air, lightning striking the walls. Vaughn roared in pain as the energy wrapped around him. His armor shattered, sparks flying. "You think you can kill me with toys?" he growled. But Eli wasn't trying to kill him. He turned the power core higher, enough to overload the entire chamber. Kale's eyes widened. "Eli, no!" Eli smiled sadly. "Sometimes to fix what's broken, you have to start again." He slammed his hand down on the panel. A surge of blinding light filled the room. The heart roared to life above them, the city trembling once more. Vaughn screamed as energy consumed him. The walls exploded outward, sending Kale and Eli flying into the night. When the smoke cleared, the East Tower was gone. The city lights flickered, then steadied, stronger than before, and in the center of the ruins, Eli lay motionless, the glowing mark on his wrist fading. Hours later, the Emperor stood before the wreckage, Kyle beside him, tears streaking down his scaled face. Guards dragged what was left of Vaughn's armor before the throne. The Emperor looked down silently, then raised his eyes to the sky. "Bring the human," he said, when they carried Eli forward. Broken and burned, but still breathing, the Emperor placed his great claw gently over his chest. "The human saved not only my son, but my empire twice," he said, voice deep with pride. Let it be known, his courage was stronger than fire. He looked down at Kale. "From this day, the humans shall no longer be slaves or servants," he said. "They shall be builders, thinkers, friends." A golden light spread from his claw, wrapping around Eli like a warm sunrise. The mark on his wrist flared back to life, brighter than ever before. Eli gasped and opened his eyes, the pain fading like smoke. The Emperor smiled, a rare and powerful sight. "You have fixed what was broken, human," he said. "Not only our machines, but our hearts." Dragons across the hall bowed deeply, their wings folding in respect. Kale ran to Eli and hugged him tightly, whispering, "I knew you'd come back." Eli smiled weakly. "I always keep my promises." The Emperor turned to his people, his voice echoing like thunder. "From this day forth, Eli Grant, the human mechanic of Earth, shall be known as the Dragon's Hand, Keeper of the Heart, Protector of the Empire," the dragons roared, the sound shaking the heavens. Eli looked out over the shining city, feeling the wind brush his face. He had come to this world as a stranger, but now he was part of something greater. The stars above glittered like sparks of hope, and in that light, he whispered to himself, "Sometimes, even the smallest repair can change an entire world." Far away, deep in the Emperor's chamber, the heart of Aelora pulsed softly, its rhythm steady and strong, and every beat carried the memory of one simple truth, that a human, small and fragile, had fixed the heart of dragons and earned their eternal favor.